Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So upon y'all's recommendation, I'm starting out this video with nothing like on my face, literally no moisturizer, absolutely nothing, because I wanted to do a beginner series on my channel. So with this beginner series, I really wanted to focus on things that like I had to do a lot of research to figure out how to do correctly when I was first learning how to do makeup, because there's a lot out there that I feel like a lot of YouTubers and just people who teach makeup, I feel like they skip over. And so in my videos, I really like to explain what I'm doing it and why I'm doing it. So I'm starting out with a fresh, clean face. I just cleansed my skin. And now I'm going to go in with some moisturizer. This one actually a company sent to me and I really like it, especially for the season. This is the Pumpkin and Spice Day Moisturizer. It's a really nice lightweight moisturizer. And you can use any moisturizer. Honestly, I'm still in the process of coming up with like a perfect drugstore or affordable skincare routine. So once I nail that, I will definitely post it. But I do like this, and it is a clean beauty kind of brand. The only thing is it's not like the most affordable brand out there, and you do have to order on their website. And so for that reason, I'm not just out here like, you know, making an entire skincare routine. I find this is a really nice moisturizer. It smells like pumpkins, or like pumpkin spice lattes, like that's the vibe. No matter what the season is, no matter what kind of skin you have, you always want to make sure you moisturize your skin before makeup. If nothing else, like the most basic, you don't have to have like a 10-step skincare routine. Just make sure your skin is cleansed and moisturized. And now I'm going to go with some lip balm. This is the Mio Naturally Essential CBD Lip Balm. I really love this, and it is super good for just making sure your lips are super moisturized. I really enjoy this, and it has like, it's a clean brand with really nice environmentally friendly packaging. Okay, so now that my skin and my lips are prepped for makeup, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Truthfully, the first thing that I do before I sit down to do any kind of makeup is I make sure that my brows are good. So I always do my brows myself. So the first thing that I do is make sure that I don't have any little missing hairs that are kind of stray. And I do this because this way, if I just do this a little bit every time before I do my makeup, I can make sure that I'm not like having to pluck 1,000 hairs at once, and then I just get like any little strays. Sometimes I obviously don't do this at every single day, and sometimes I don't have time for it or whatever. But I wanted to include it in this video because every time I sit down to my makeup, whether it is super easy, natural, everyday makeup or a full glam, I like to make sure that I get these little stray hairs. My eyebrows grow really fast and the hairs are really thick, and so they're very noticeable. Okay, so once this step is complete, I like to go ahead and prime. So there's so many primers out there. There are so many like drugstore and affordable primers, and I really don't recommend going out and splurging on a primer when there is absolutely no need to do that. So I have two here in front of me. This one is the Wet n Wild Coconut Water Drop Primer. This is a super hydrating primer, and it really does feel almost like a water-y consistency when you apply it. There is a little bit, and this one, honestly, I'm showing it for my dry skin folks out there because it is a really nice like hydrating consistency. And especially if you're a beginner in makeup, Wet n Wild is a brand I super recommend. They're super affordable, they're cruelty free, and a lot of their products are vegan, so it kind of like fits the bubble for a lot of the categories that people are looking for. And next I'm going to go in with the Soap & Glory One Heck of a Blot Primer. So I really have been liking this, but a really good dupe to this, or a very similar kind of concept, is the Poreless Putty Matte Primer from e.l.f. That primer is $8 and it's amazing also, but I'm just going to go in with this one because it's what I have in front of me. And honestly, if I'm just doing a super easy everyday makeup, I'm not going to worry about like making sure my skin is perfect. I'm not going to like do a full mattifying, pore filling, everything. But that's because I generally have pretty good skin, and so if you have more textured skin, I recommend the e.l.f. one. Okay, so then there's that. And there's two tools I always recommend having, and that is a foundation brush and a beauty sponge. This one is the Real Techniques beauty sponge, and in this video I'm trying to use all like affordable makeup brushes, but I will say that a lot of the brushes that I have that are affordable also include Morphe brushes, which are a little bit more on the pricier side. But if you buy them in sets, and if you buy them when they have a sale, they're pretty affordable. So I spent roughly about $100, I think, for the Jaclyn Hill like fancy collection or whatever that she came out with. And that's a lot of money, but at the same time, you get so many brushes and a case, and it kind of evens out, and so I wanted to throw that out there. But next I'm going to go in with this LA Girl Pro Matte Foundation. So I used this recently in a video, I think, and it's in the shade Medium Beige, and I really enjoyed this. And I actually used it again after that video, and I've kind of been using it a lot more recently, and I really enjoy it. When I'm doing my super quick makeup, I like to use a brush and then only use the sponge to kind of touch up things and to do some concealing, because the brush just applies things super quickly. And honestly, if you're a beginner in makeup, or if you're just like an everyday working woman who just needs to slap on some makeup, I really enjoy brushes because I find that it's just faster. And so whenever I need to just get some coverage on my face, I always use a brush. I also realize that a lot of us do not have the money to just, or just the like desire to splurge on high-end foundations all the time. So I wanted to point that out as well. I rarely ever use anything like any high-end foundations on my channel or in real life. I literally have 2 high-end foundations, and I bought them both because I was like, okay, like maybe these are worth splurging on. And don't get me wrong, they are, I like them, but there are so many good affordable options at the drugstore and like at Ulta, and just seriously look around and don't waste your money on foundation, because a lot of the times they are incredibly similar. So I'm also gonna just apply this over my eyelids to cover up my veins. So actually this is something I was never really self-conscious about, and then I kind of realized like I have a lot of veins on my eyes, and so there is a lot of that coloring right there, and I'm gonna cover that up with a little bit of concealer if I were to do like a more in-depth makeup. But if I'm just doing like a quick I need to get out the door makeup, I like to cover that with my foundation. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with some concealer. I have a bunch of favorites. I'm going to use today the CoverGirl truBLEND Undercover Concealer. I have mine in the shade Buff Beige, but I also really love the e.l.f. concealers, the Camo Concealer and the Hydrating Camo Concealer. Both amazing options. So then what I'm going to do is use a sponge to blend this out. And the reason I'm using a sponge for this is because there's so much more product here, and my under eyes crease a lot, and I think that this is the most like crease-proof method for me that I have found. And you want to make sure to dampen your sponge. What I like to do is make sure it's like really big and grown, like the sponge grows. And then what I like to do is just wring it out, and then I take a washcloth and I wring it out again. So I always have clean washcloths at my station because I find that, like my makeup station or wherever you get ready, I find that it is super convenient to have them on hand. You never know when you're gonna need one. And also just using a sponge on the areas that I'm using to blend out my concealer. This is the area that I normally get the most creasing and that my brush kind of like leaves a little bit of streaks. And so I'll just very quickly like go over the rest of my face after I'm done with that step. And next I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Powder. So this is a setting powder. I like loose powders specifically to set under the eyes because I find that they distribute enough product so that my eyes don't crease. I apply a lot of product, and if I were to go in with a brush and a pressed powder, I find that my eyes crease. You might not have this issue, but for me, I think that this is the best method. So I either like to go in with a powder puff or my sponge. I find that the powder puff method is a little bit more foolproof. I have the Tati Beauty Blendiful and the Baby Blendiful. That's what I have in my hand right now. But literally, it's just a powder puff. Go to Walmart, get a powder puff, fold it into a little taco shape, and pat it under your eyes. I will show you both this method and the sponge method in today's video. So I like to make sure to pounce my under eyes first and make sure I get rid of those creases, because you don't want to set the creases you already have under your eyes. Then you're going to pick up some powder, look down, and pat that on. Wow, that picked up a lot of powder. Whoops. And then with the other eye, I'm going to blend it out, pick up some powder, and set. So with this method, I think that your sponge just can't be too wet to do this, but basically it just kind of presses in the powder. It makes everything look really seamless, which I like, but at the same time I have also found that it was really hard for me to kind of master this technique for some reason, and I saw other people do it and I'm like, why does it look so much easier for them? And I would struggle. So the next thing I'm going to do is go in with a powder brush. This one is from Equate Beauty. It's from Walmart, and it literally cost $5. So I love affordable beauty brushes, and this is a really glowy powder. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder, like I said earlier, but it doesn't have any shine or like glitter or anything like that to it, so it does just set your face really nicely. but it kind of leaves like a luminosity to your face so it doesn't like overly mattify your skin. And I'm just taking my brush, applying it there, and then distributing it on my face. I personally need to make sure that my face is really well set, because if I don't set my face really well, my bronzer, my blush, all those other powder products that I put on top, they skip over and then it creates this like patchy mess. Also, normally this doesn't take me this long, and sometimes I'm doing this like a little bit more perfecting than I would on a regular day. Like sometimes I have to just get ready really fast. So depending on how much time you have, you can either speed this up, skip some steps, etc, etc. Like you kind of will find your rhythm when you're doing your makeup. So next I'm going to go in with the JCat Aquasurance Powder Foundation. So when I do this, normally I will set my face and then go in with a powder brush. And if I need more coverage, this always helps to add just a little bit more. And I love using big brushes like this, especially when I'm in a rush, because it just covers a lot of surface area. So next I'm gonna bronze, and another company that I really love for makeup brushes is Wet n Wild. So Wet n Wild, they actually sell their brushes at even the Dollar Tree, so you can get them for $1. They sometimes have them, sometimes they have less, so you just kind of have to shop around, but they definitely have them. This was a limited edition one. It was a collaboration with Wet n Wild and Pac-Man, but the point is that Wet n Wild makes incredible brushes for the price, and I love them. So now I'm going to go in with my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. So this is a really good bronzer. I find that it's a little bit on the pricey side for the drugstore. It's like $15, and not everybody has the money to drop $15 on a bronzer, but I will say that if you get them at CVS and you use like the coupons and you like sign up for the like rewards program at CVS, it is incredible and you will save a lot of money on it. I think I bought this one for like a quarter of the price because I was able to just use my rewards and save up. And also Ulta Beauty, I totally recommend them for makeup because like I said, if you're really on a budget, they have a really great rewards program and they sell a lot of drugstore makeup. When I first started doing my makeup, one of the techniques that really helped me to like apply my bronzer was to make a fish face. This is the silliest thing, and sometimes when I have a client that I'm doing their makeup and I'm having trouble finding where their cheekbones are, I tell them to kind of pucker their lips a little bit. And you can just stick your brush in that area and find it. And so depending on obviously like how good you are at finding that, or like, you know, just how skilled you are with makeup, it's a really great technique, and it's something that I really found that was helpful to me when I was starting out. So basically you want to find this line and apply the blush above it. I definitely said blush, I meant bronzer, sorry. I also like to take my bronzer a little bit on my cheekbones as well, or like my apples of my cheeks right here, because I find that it helps everything blend in a little bit better together. My blush, bronzer, everything. It just really does blend beautifully when I do that. So that's why I like to do it, but you definitely don't have to do that. Just find what works for you. Definitely practice makes perfection, or whatever is close to perfection. So I never really like to skip this step in my makeup routine. I like to take a bronzer that I'm using, something that is not too warm, like too orangey, and I like to kind of bronze my nose. I don't overly contour my nose because I have found that number one, it just takes too long for like what I think is worth it on a daily basis, especially if I'm in a rush. I like to just kind of go in and do the bottom of my nose to kind of cut the length. Like it creates this extra shadow here that makes my nose appear shorter. And then I'm going to just kind of bronze up the sides of my nose a little bit. That way it looks like it's not just like this random thing in the middle of my face, it just kind of blends in a little bit. I also like to take my bronzer and apply it under my lip for a little pouty effect. By the way, I think I literally got this brush on like eBay or something, so just shop around for your brushes. Amazon also has really great brush sets. I will link a brush set that I have used by them down below, and I really like this brush. Is actually from that brush. I think it's like a 9-piece face and eye brush set. Next I'm going to go in with this e.l.f. blush and highlight. This is in the shade Lychee and it's literally $3. I totally recommend these little e.l.f. duo hand thingies, palettes, because I just think they're so useful. So I'm also going to apply this on the inner corner of my eye. That will just like help to brighten up and bring some light to the eyes. It kind of brings a little bit of attention, a little bit of flair. And next I'm going to use the same highlight and a highlighting brush and apply some on my chin, the tops of my cheekbones. Sometimes I like to sprinkle a little bit of my highlight on the apples of my cheeks if I want a really glowy look, because when I smile you can kind of see it right here. You see that? And then sometimes above my brows. Another really great highlight, it's a little bit more expensive if you're looking at getting like a 2-in-1. I like the Wet n Wild Precious Petals highlight. It is absolutely amazing, but if you're looking at literally getting a blush and a highlight for $3 and you're a beginner in makeup, this is a steal. So then using another Wet n Wild brush, I actually found this one I think at Walmart or something, or maybe Ulta, I'm not sure, but it is a really great brush and I love it for this reason. I like to apply my blush with it and then I just kind of like go upwards. So I like this blush because it's really peachy and soft and you can really build it up. And if you're a beginner and you don't know how much to apply and like you're struggling with like maybe over applying product, this is a very forgiving blush. Like their formula is really soft and smooth and you can definitely like, it can pack a punch if you let it. But also applying your blush with a duo fiber brush, like a really loose fluffy blush brush like this. The benefit of that is that no matter how much you put on, it's really hard to like overdo it in one area. Because the nature of this brush itself is kind of to apply product really softly. So I like really rosy cheeks and I have applied a lot of product. You don't have to. And if you don't feel like it, obviously don't. So I have one recommendation for a setting spray, or that is the Milani Make It Last. This is such a good setting spray. I actually used it on my wedding day. It sprays really nicely, and this one doesn't change your makeup from matte or dewy or anything. They have this one, and they also have a matte and dewy one. So I'm going to spray my face at this step. And then I like to make sure that that like kind of sinks into my skin a little bit. And if I have time and I'm feeling kind of feisty, I will apply a little bit more highlighter to the tops of my cheekbones after I have sprayed my face. And after it's kind of dried a little bit. This just makes it a little bit more intense because it has something kind of to stick to. So actually I'm going to go ahead and do my brows at this step. You can use a brow pencil, a brow pomade, any product like that is really good. I found that like every kind of product has worked for me in my life at one point or another. But one thing I really recommend is getting a good eyebrow brush. So I recommend one that has a spoolie on one end and then a brush tip like this. This one is from Morphe and Jeffree Star. Again, fairly affordable, but there are better options out there. And the e.l.f. one, it looks almost identical to this, and it's black, and it is so much cheaper. So the first thing I'm going to do is go in with the Wet n Wild Retractable Brow Pencil. They have lots of shades of this, but I find that sometimes it's kind of hard to find the shade you're looking for. And sometimes that is just the nature of the drugstore. But basically what I recommend is going softer on the brows than you think you need to, especially if you're a beginner. You don't want to walk around with these like block eyebrows. I know, I've been there. And you want to make sure to apply very little product at the beginning of your brow. Even if you have like very sparse brows, apply less product at the beginning of your brow and a little bit more on the outside because you really don't want this area to look choppy. So I applied this line right here with almost no pressure on my brush. And then out here where I'm actually having to fill in some color because my brow is more sparse, I'm applying a little bit more pressure. Actually a lot more pressure. And so that brow looks good, but then what I like to do is go in with this spoolie. Also, you could use a spoolie on the brush if you have a brow pencil that has a spoolie. Most of them come with one. So next I'm going to go in with the Essence Make Me Brow. This is in the shade Brownie Brows. It doesn't have an amazing like shade range or anything like that, but there are plenty of little brow products like this at the drugstore, and I really recommend getting a brow gel. Another really good one is by Maybelline. And yeah, I really like this product to just kind of set my brows a little bit. And I like the tinted ones specifically because they add just a little bit of color, especially in those areas where your brows kind of look a little sparse. It adds just a little bit of like extra coverage and it sets your brows really nicely. So then what I like to do is take a little bit of my concealer, and I like to take a flat brush. Mine is from Ulta Beauty, again an affordable brand. I don't think I spent more than $8 on this brush. This is their flat concealer brush, and I take the tiniest dot of concealer, especially on days where I'm not doing like a full eyeshadow look. I take the tiniest bit and I just clean up a little bit under my brows. Again, I do this very lightly, especially on days where I'm doing like very minimal makeup, because I want to look like, I want my brows to make sure they look like they've been cleaned up a little bit. I want them to look crisp and pretty, and I want to have a little bit of coverage there, and I don't want to spend too much time having to blend out product or anything. So I have found that that's just really easy for me to use less product. So then I'm using a domed brush that is like for concealer. This is the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my powder, but basically I'm just going to take a little brush like this because it's super convenient to use kind of a larger brush to just set the rest of your eyeshadow. I normally don't set my eyeshadow when I'm doing like super intense, colorful looks or like shimmery looks, I guess. But for this purpose, it adds a little bit of coverage like I said before, and it just sets everything to make it super easy and seamless. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my bronzer. Literally, you can never underestimate the power of a little bit of bronzer. And the reason I like to use my bronzer is because number one, it's something I already own in my collection. I don't have to go out and get something new. And number two, it is super, super convenient because you literally, like, even if you don't have any eyeshadow yet, if you buy your bronzer, you can always do this. So next I'm going to go in with a cheek crease eye brush. So Cheek is a brand that you can sometimes find, and it's spelled CHIQUE. You can find this brand at Five Below, but you can also find it at places like Big Lots. I've seen them there as well. And so just kind of like those like cheaper retailers that sell, I don't know, like stores like Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. I found them at places like that. So I found it at Big Lots, this one in particular, but also I know Five Below sells this brand. I really like this brand as well. And I'm just throwing a little bit of bronzer in the crease. If you want to get a little fancy with it, and you want to like actually go out and splurge on some eyeshadow, you can get the e.l.f. little quads. I have mine in the shade Pumpkin Spice. These are amazing, and I just dug my nail into it. That's what I just did. But this is what it looks like. It is super, super pretty. And I'm just going to take this little taupey shimmer shade and I'm just going to run it across my lid to give myself a little oomph. Again, this is if I have time. If not, I will just throw that bronzer in the crease, call it a day. And if you have this little e.l.f. quad, sometimes I don't like to put anything under my eyes. Sometimes I do. Since I have this out, I'm just going to take another Cheek Pro brush. This is their eyeshadow brush, and I did get this one at Five Below. And I'm just going to run this under my eye a little bit. And I'm just taking this like light camel shade to do this. This is probably my favorite little wad from e.l.f. Like, there are so many out there and they have so many colors. And honestly, like, you can spend $6 and have 8 eyeshadows and it's amazing. So then what I'm going to do is apply some mascara and curl my lashes. My lash curler is from Revlon and I really like it. And then I'm going to go in with some mascara. My favorite drugstore mascara at the moment is the Maybelline Lash Lift Falsies. So I'm going to do this real quick. And normally I would cut this out, but I'm going to actually leave it in my video because I want you guys to see how this is done. I always thought lash curlers were kind of intimidating and kind of creepy looking. But basically what you're going to do, and you can always like find other techniques and stuff, but this is how I very basically apply my mascara, especially when I am just doing like a very basic look to just like go out and like I want to look a little bit put together but like not anything crazy. So basically you're going to position it very close to your eye and like you're going to set this part here and you're going to make sure to grab every lash. Sometimes the lashes out here kind of escape me, but you're going to want to make sure you grab every single lash and feel it first. Don't squeeze all the way immediately because you might pull your skin. And so just feel it out, be very gentle, and don't be afraid of it. And just like don't press all the way at the beginning when you're like figuring out how far to press and like how close and everything. Just do it softly and then from there you can kind of do it a little harder. Make sure to hold it a little bit. I normally like to hold mine about 30 seconds or so, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply mascara. If you have longer lashes like I do, I like to make sure to apply my mascara on the bottom lash line first because I find that every time I look up to do that, my eyelashes touch my eyelid right here, and then I get mascara on my top eyelid. But before I do that, I'm going to set my face one more time. I do not like to set my face after having mascara on. So either what I'm going to do is let my mascara sit for a minute and like do something else like my lips and then set my face. Or if I'm in a rush, I'm going to set my face first and then do my eyes and mascara. So I'm going to set my face again because I find that it is the most like time efficient thing. And then while that's drying, I can go ahead and apply my mascara. Also, you see how my eyelashes have a little bit of powder left? They're like a little bit white at the top. That always helps to kind of make your lashes look fuller. So I never bother wiping it away. There's this hack out there where you apply powder to your lashes specifically to get a longer, more voluminous lash effect. But I normally just leave it. I think that my lashes are fine without it. I just make sure to do a couple coats of mascara. And to be honest, normally I just apply lashes. But I know that that is number one, not for everyone. And sometimes people are going to look at you and like you might, especially if you're a beginner in makeup, you might not feel comfortable wearing lashes. And you can already see I did get some mascara on the top portion of my eyelid. I'm actually gonna let that sit there and dry and then kind of flick it off once it is dry. It is the easier technique than going in and trying to scrape it off now and making a big mess. So now I'm going to apply my lipstick, and the first thing I'm going to do is wipe off my chapstick, and then I'm going to line my lips. My favorite lip liners, and are super affordable, and sometimes you can even find them on sale, are at Ulta Beauty, and they are the LA Girl Perfect Precision lip liners. I have mine in the shade Cafe. They are a wooden lip pencil, but they are super, super creamy. Also, I recommend that if you're starting out with makeup, don't try to sit here and overline your lips. Just learn your lip shape and do very, very subtle things and try to just kind of like learn the basics of your lips. Okay, so now I'm going to jump in with a liquid lipstick. This is also from Maybelline. This is their Superstay ink lipsticks. This is what it looks like. This one has a brown cap because it is a part of their, like, I want to say like their coffee line or something, or like their whatever, but normally they have a white lid to them, so it just depends. But this is their packaging, and I know these colors look extremely similar, but this one looks a little bit more brown, and I prefer a little bit more of a brown lip liner. So this is in the shade 255 Chai Genius, and I already know I like this formula, but I wanted to pick up another color. These are ranged from like $7 to $8. Oh yes, this color is like identical to the lip liner, and it is like my perfect brown lip. I really recommend these lip liner or these lipsticks because even though they're matte, I find that you can throw a gloss on top if you really like the color, but also if you are a beginner and you need your lipstick to last all day, these are foolproof. I have used these on my sister-in-law for her proms, and every time it lasts throughout the day. Like, she eats, she dances, she comes home, and she still has it on, and it's just like phenomenal. So if you have like a work day, these are great. The only thing is that they do take a little bit to take off, so I definitely recommend using like a balm, or maybe even just carry like the little mini Neutrogena wipes in your purse, just if you like want to take it off during the day at some point. But yeah, I love this lipstick and I love this color. Again, it's in the shade Chai Genius. So now what I'm going to do is go back into this little quad, and I'm going to clean up the mascara on my eye. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same brush up from earlier, and first I'm going to just try to see if I can, oh, and it came off. Yeah, I was just going to see if I could dust it off, which is what happened. It still left a little bit of a mark, so I'm going to go in with this taupey shimmer shade I used at first, and I'm going to apply just a little bit more to cover it up, and that's it. It's gone. So that's super convenient, and it's a really nice little hack. Okay guys, so this is the end of my super easy everyday makeup. Also, this Superstay Matte Ink Maybelline like lipstick, I really like it, but I will have to say that they have a bunch of other colors. Like, this is my perfect brownie nude lip, but it's not for everybody. They have tons of colors, so don't think that you have to use a brown lip or you're like everyday. This is like my perfect color, but there are so many shades, and just really like test it out, find one that works with you. And also I recommend, if you are trying to buy something that you're not sure if you're gonna like, go to Ulta or Walmart because their return policies are very forgiving. So if you don't like something, you can return it and get your money back. And I know that sometimes we're all just trying to like watch where we're putting our money, and so that's why I really always recommend those two companies for makeup and drugstore in particular. But yeah, always keep your receipt, and if you have the Walmart app, scan your receipt so that then if you even lose it, you can try the product out for a while. If you don't like it, you can still return it. That is it for today's video. I will continue this series, and I'm going to try to upload one new video, at least once every week, kind of teaching you guys a new thing about makeup. So whether that is how to apply lashes, or how to do your eyebrows, or how to, I don't know, like pick a foundation shade or whatever. Like, there are just things that I have found that are really hard to do, and it has taken me such a long time and so many years of just truly like constantly watching YouTube videos, learning about makeup, reading about makeup, studying what works and what doesn't. And so I want to share that knowledge with you guys. It's really a big reason why I started my YouTube channel, so I think it is perfect for me to start a series on beginner makeup tutorials. So this has been on my list for a while. I hope you guys enjoy. Please subscribe for more beginner makeup tutorials and more content about makeup, because I will be here to help you guys out in any way that I can. Again, if you have any comments at all ever, please leave them in the description down below, and I will promise to get back to them. Whether it's that day or eventually, I will get back to your comments. I love checking the comments and like really responding to you guys. Also, you guys, turn that notification bell on so that you can be notified whenever I do upload a new video. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys in my next video. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you then. Until next time, bye guys.